In 1972, a group of criminals pulled off one of the most elaborate bank heists in American history by literally going underground. The United California Bank in Laguna Niguel seemed secure. Thick concrete walls, advanced alarm systems, armed guards. But the thieves had a different plan entirely. They rented a small business 2 blocks away as their cover operation. For 3 months they dug. Night after night, they carved out a sophisticated tunnel system beneath the city streets. The engineering was incredible. They installed ventilation, reinforced the walls, calculated the exact route to avoid gas lines and sewers. On a weekend in March, they emerged directly beneath the bank's vault floor. They spent hours drilling through concrete and steel, accessing hundreds of safety deposit boxes. $30 million in cash, jewelry, and bonds disappeared. The crime wasn't discovered until Monday morning, but the thieves left behind a crucial piece of evidence: fingerprints on their digging tools. The FBI traced those prints back to the rental business, then to the tunnel, then to the crew. The perfect underground heist, ruined by forgetting to wear gloves.
Did you know that before it became known for tragedy, Nutty Putty Cave was Utah's most beloved underground playground? For over 30 years, this twisting maze of tunnels drew thousands of visitors each year, especially Boy Scout troops and college students looking for adventure. The cave's unique appeal came from its reputation as beginner-friendly. Unlike other caves that required expert skills, Nutty Putty seemed perfect for first-time cavers. Its hydrothermal formation created smooth, sculpted passages that felt safe to explore. Youth groups loved how the narrow tunnels and tight squeezes provided just enough challenge to feel exciting without seeming dangerous. Every year, roughly 1,500 people crawled through its winding chambers. Scout leaders used it as a rite of passage, while college students made weekend trips to test their courage in passages with names like the Birth Canal and the Maze. The recreational caving community embraced Nutty Putty as the perfect introduction to underground exploration. What they didn't fully understand was how those same smooth, narrow passages that made it feel safe would eventually make it one of the most dangerous caves in America.
In the 1960s, a teenager fooled the entire world and stole millions without ever robbing a bank. Frank Abagnale was just 16 when he started the most sophisticated check fraud operation in history. He didn't just forge checks, he became completely different people. First, he posed as a Pan Am pilot. He studied flight manuals, learned aviation terms, and got free flights worldwide. Airlines never questioned the charming young captain. Then he became a doctor in Georgia. No medical training, just confidence and fake credentials. Next, he passed himself off as a lawyer in Louisiana. He even passed the bar exam on his 3rd try. But his real genius was check fraud. He studied bank procedures obsessively, created perfect fake identities with flawless documentation. FBI agent Carl Hanratty spent years chasing him across 8 countries. Frank cashed over $4 million in fraudulent checks before his capture in France at age 21. The twist? The FBI was so impressed, they hired him. Today, Frank Abagnale works for the same agency that once hunted him, helping catch the world's most sophisticated forgers. In 1990, 2 men pulled off the greatest art heist in history by simply knocking on the door. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston was home to priceless masterpieces, Vermeers, Rembrandts, worth over $500 million. At 1:24 a.m. on March 18th, 2 men dressed as Boston police officers approached the side entrance. "We're responding to a disturbance call," they told the night guards. The guards, breaking protocol, let them in. Big mistake. Within minutes, both guards were handcuffed and blindfolded in the basement. For the next 81 minutes, the thieves methodically looted the museum. They cut 13 paintings from their frames, grabbed a bronze eagle, even stole the security camera footage. Then they vanished into the night. The FBI has chased thousands of leads across 3 decades. They've offered a $10 million reward, but not a single artwork has been recovered. The empty frames still hang on the museum walls today, waiting for masterpieces that may never return, the perfect crime that's still unsolved.
In 1987, 2 scavengers broke into an abandoned medical clinic in Brazil. They found what looked like treasure, a glowing blue substance that pulsed like magic in the darkness. They took it home to their families. Children played with it. Wives rubbed it on their skin like glitter. Everyone wanted to touch the beautiful blue glow. They had no idea they were holding cesium-137, one of the most lethal radioactive materials on Earth. Within days, entire families began vomiting blood. Their hair fell out in clumps, Their skin started peeling away, but doctors dismissed it as food poisoning. The glowing powder had already spread through the neighborhood, contaminating everyone who touched it, everyone who breathed near it. By the time authorities realized what was happening, it was too late. 4 people died agonizing deaths. Hundreds more were poisoned. An entire city block had to be demolished and buried. The Goiânia accident became one of the worst nuclear disasters in history, all because something deadly looked beautiful in the dark.
Did you know a janitor making minimum wage once found $40,000 and gave it all away? Maria was cleaning a professor's office when she found the cash hidden in a desk drawer. She was drowning in medical bills for her sick mother. That money could have solved everything. Instead, she walked straight to security and reported it. The money belonged to Professor Chen, who had hidden his life savings because he didn't trust banks. He offered her $50 as a reward. When he learned about her mother's condition, everything changed. He paid for the entire medical treatment. Then he helped Maria enroll in nursing school. 3 years later, she graduated and became a registered nurse at the same university hospital. Today, she earns more in a month than she used to make in 6 months as a janitor. People ask why she didn't keep the money when no one was watching. She says, "Stealing it would have paid my bills for a year. Returning it gave me a career for life. One honest choice created a completely different future. Not luck, integrity."
Did you know that one of the most complex cave rescues in history lasted 27 hours and involved over 100 rescuers, yet still ended in tragedy? In November 2009, 26-year-old John Edward Jones became trapped upside down in Utah's Nutty Putty Cave. What started as a fun family caving trip quickly became a nightmare when John squeezed into a narrow passage and couldn't back out. Specialized cave rescue teams worked around the clock, using elaborate pulley systems and winches. At one point, they actually moved John several inches using a complex rope and anchor system. For a brief moment, hope filled the air, but then the anchor point failed catastrophically, sending John deeper into the crevice. The medical challenges were enormous. Being trapped upside down for hours causes blood to pool in the head and lungs, making breathing nearly impossible. Rescuers pumped warm air down to John and tried multiple extraction techniques, but the cave's tight limestone walls made every attempt dangerous. Despite heroic efforts from over 100 emergency responders, John's position proved impossible to overcome. The cave was permanently sealed afterward, becoming his final resting place.
Did you know one Finnish farmer killed over 500 enemy soldiers in just 100 days? His name was Simo Häyhä, but the Soviets called him the White Death. It was 1939, and the Soviet Union had just invaded Finland with over 1 million men. They expected an easy victory. Instead, they met Häyhä. Every morning, this quiet dairy farmer would disappear into the frozen wilderness with nothing but an old rifle and iron sights. No scope, no fancy equipment. The temperature was 40 degrees below zero, cold enough to freeze spit before it hits the ground. But Häyhä thrived in it. He would bury himself in snow for hours, waiting. One shot, one kill. Then he would vanish like a ghost. The Soviets became so terrified, they sent entire counter-sniper teams just to hunt down this one man. They called in artillery strikes on empty forests, hoping to get lucky. Some soldiers refused to patrol certain areas, knowing the White Death was watching. One farmer with a rifle had made a superpower afraid of the dark. For 100 days, Death wore a white coat and spoke Finnish.
In 1845, 129 British sailors set out to conquer the Arctic. They never returned. The Franklin expedition was the pride of the Royal Navy. 2 massive ships packed with 3 years of supplies, searching for the legendary Northwest Passage. Then they vanished into the ice. Decades later, search teams found the horrifying truth. Scattered bones showed clear knife marks. The crew had turned to cannibalism. But that wasn't the worst part. The sailors had been poisoning themselves the entire time. Their food cans were sealed with lead solder that slowly drove them insane. Inuit witnesses described seeing groups of starving white men wandering the frozen wasteland, talking to themselves, acting like wild animals. When one of the ships was finally discovered, investigators found evidence of the crew's final desperate acts. Tools used to break open human bones, scratch marks on metal walls. Victorian England's greatest naval triumph had become a nightmare of madness and horror. 129 men, trapped in ice, slowly losing their minds as they consumed each other to survive. In 1978, 900 people died in a single day in the jungle of Guyana. They didn't die from disease or disaster. Their leader made them drink poison. Jim Jones started as a charismatic preacher who promised a perfect society. But behind closed doors, he was building something darker. He moved his followers to an isolated compound deep in the South American jungle. No phones, no way out. He called it Jonestown. Jones practiced fake suicide drills. He made followers drink what they thought was poison, then laughed when nothing happened. He was training them. On November 18th, when a congressman came to investigate, Jones knew it was over. He ordered the final test. But this time, the poison was real. Parents were forced to squirt cyanide into their babies' mouths first, then drink it themselves. The audio recordings captured children screaming as they died. Over 300 were children. Most never had a choice. Jim Jones didn't drink the poison. He shot himself instead. 900 people murdered by the man they trusted most.
Did you know a man was murdered with a substance so rare, only a handful of labs on Earth can even produce it? Alexander Litvinenko was a Russian spy who knew too much. He defected to Britain, started talking, and someone in Moscow decided he had to go. But they didn't use a bullet. They used polonium-210, a radioactive poison with no color, no smell, no taste. On November 1, 2006, Litvinenko met 2 Russian agents for tea at a London hotel. 3 weeks later, he was dead. His hair fell out in clumps. His organs shut down one by one. His immune system collapsed completely. Doctors had never seen anything like it. When investigators swept the hotel with radiation detectors, they lit up like Christmas trees. The poison had been tracked across London, planes, hotels, restaurants, hundreds of people potentially exposed. Before he died, Litvinenko looked into a camera and named Vladimir Putin directly. He was 43 years old. The 2 men accused of the killing were never extradited. Russia gave one of them a seat in parliament. Did you know America made a deal with war criminals who performed live surgery on conscious prisoners? Unit 7, 31, was Japan's most secret weapon during World War II. Led by Army surgeon Shiro Ishii, they built a massive research facility in occupied China. What happened inside was pure horror. They called prisoners logs like pieces of wood. Doctors would cut open living people without anesthesia to see how diseases spread through organs. They froze prisoners' limbs in ice water, then smashed the frozen flesh with hammers to study frostbite. They injected plague, anthrax, and cholera directly into bloodstreams. Entire villages were bombed with biological weapons to test their effectiveness. Thousands died in agony. When Japan surrendered, Ishii thought he'd face trial like the Nazi doctors. Instead, America offered him a deal: hand over all research data and walk free. The U.S. wanted that biological weapons research for the Cold War. So while Nazi war criminals hung at Nuremberg, Ishii lived comfortably until 1959. The deal buried one of history's darkest secrets. Some evils are too valuable to punish. Did you know young women once painted watch dials with radioactive paint and were told to lick their brushes? In the 1920s, the Radium Corporation hired hundreds of teenage girls to paint glow-in-the-dark watch dials. The radium paint made the numbers shine bright green. Supervisors told the girls the paint was completely safe. They even encouraged them to lick their paintbrushes to get a fine point for precision work. The girls called themselves the Ghost Girls because their hair and clothes glowed when they left work. Some painted their nails and teeth for fun, but within months, something horrifying started happening. Their jaws began to crumble, literally falling apart in chunks. Their bones turned to powder inside their bodies. One girl's entire jaw came off in her dentist's hand. They were dying slow, agonizing deaths from radiation poisoning. Meanwhile, company executives knew radium was deadly. They had known for years. Scientists at the company used lead aprons and tongs when handling radium, but they told the girls nothing. When the girls tried to sue, the company fought them for years. These radium girls exposed America's first major corporate cover-up. Their sacrifice changed worker safety laws forever.